This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Welcome back to the show. We are honored to have the interior designer at K&B Interiors joining us again. It's Kevin Wachtmann Smoot joining us live from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, once again to talk more about K&B Interiors. And today's topic is how to choose your interior designer and how your designer chooses you. So first and foremost, welcome back. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I have just been trying to stay warm. I actually noticed every week that we've done this episode, it's like the temperature has dropped like 10 degrees every single time.
It's true. And I'm still wearing tank tops because I love tank tops and I'm always sweating. But yes, I'm well aware. Yeah, it was like 30 something degrees this morning here in New York. You're close by, so you get it. Yesterday was a big shocker to a lot of us. But well, we'll get through, right? And you as a designer, you're working in all sorts of weather, right? Every single season. So thank you for being here again. And if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself for some new people that are chiming in today, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, so I'm Kevin. I do interior design work in the Philadelphia metro area, and I specialize in creating these sort of bold personal spaces that are as personal as they are luxurious. And we've done a lot of work over the past couple of years in the area, and now just ready to continue growing and excited for all those who are new here.
Yay. Well, we're excited you're back. Let's set the stage today, if we can, a little bit. Let's talk about many homeowners out there that are feeling overwhelmed, right, when they're ready to hire a designer. I mean, I know it's overwhelming thinking, what am I going to do at this place? But where do you recommend people even start?
Yeah, so actually, before we even kind of get into that, I think one thing to note is like one of the biggest mistakes that people make when hiring a designer is thinking that it's sort of this shopping decision, like comparing prices or style boards. But working with an interior designer, and I cannot stress this enough, it's really a relationship, a partnership that you're trying to form. And so it's creative, it's emotional, and it's deeply personal. So really trying to break down not just right how you are choosing your designer, but also how we're choosing you. That coming together
Yeah.
is a very important piece that kind of
Hmm.
gets lost in translation at times. Some people think it's like, oh, you're hiring sort of a contractor, and it's not that. It really is not that. Your home is a sacred space. So you're not just hiring talent, you're really inviting someone into your story. And so
Yep.
there's a lot more involved, or should be, I should say, involved in that process. But yeah, so no, to answer that question, right, it really does start with clarity. And again, as we've said before, not Pinterest. Before you even get hung up on, and I'm sure most people, they're already right looking at inspiration of like, oh, I like this, I like this, I like this, I like this. If you can kind of put that down for a second and instead ask yourself, when you walk into your home, how do you want it to feel? Once you're sort of clear on that energy, that's what you're going to want to more so communicate to a designer, because a designer can take a whole bunch of different, aesthetics ideally and kind of put those together, but making sure that we really get that feeling that you're wanting, that's what you're really paying us for. It's that intangible portion we make.
Got it. Well, you said intangible you make, and then I got a little, repeat what you just said.
Oh yeah, just this idea of, you want it, it's about the feeling, and then that's very intangible, but that
Thank
comes
you.
through all of the different decisions that come through the entire process.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So let's talk a little bit about some of the big misconceptions, though, right? Too, people working with designer. There's still a lot more to get to today. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, so again, right, you're not just paying someone to make something look pretty. Um, Great design is about function,
Mm-hmm.
psychology, and storytelling. And so with function, right, it's about how is this space going to work for you? Psychology space. And then the storytelling is how do we make this space look like it is you? Attach it back to your identity. So you're hiring someone to make hundreds of all of these aligned decisions
Mm-hmm.
on your behalf so
Oh
that
my
this
goodness.
yeah, so this final result really feels effortless and really represents you. Um, so that, I mean, that's a lot, right? There's a lot of decisions that honestly, most of my clients don't even know that I'm making behind the scenes because, I mean, that's what you've hired me to do. You don't want to deal with some of the nitty-gritty
Yep.
things. Um, that's what you're trusting me to do and execute on. So.
Got it. Well, let me ask you this. How in the beginning, just, people I'm sure come to you with ideas, right? They're ripping out pages of magazines. They have stuff on Pinterest. They have stuff, pictures they seen on the website, right? And now it's good to have all your tools to gather, right? And when you sit and meet with them, let me just ask, what do you bring to the table for them to look at? Do you show them past projects? Do you give them ideas of inspiration? Would you mind just sharing how, who brings what to the table in a sense when you do meet?
Yeah, so I mean, within the consultation process, I mean, it depends on because we at this point we've already at least had one conversation, so I
Mm-hmm.
have an idea of what I'm kind of stepping into. But I mean, I always have, paint kits, different fabric swatches on me. I've
Uh-huh.
got I have my Bible, the color Bible. It's a great book. It just has a bunch of different like color palettes based on different, nuanced colors just to help give people something to think about. But typically on consultations, I'm not really doing much
Yeah.
of those things. It's really, and this kind of goes into one of my other points, I think later on, is I'm here to really listen. I'm here to hear what you have going on within your space, how it is making you feel, what the space currently looks like. But then I'm also getting a sense of how are we gelling together during this time so that after this point, I can also make sort of this decision of does it make sense for us to continue on this path or should I be referring them potentially to another designer who might in my opinion, work better with sort of where they're going with their space.
Got it. Got it. All right. Well, thank you for that. And also here today, we're talking about interior design. If you haven't heard yet, how you can choose one and the best parts of it all and how you choose one as well. And any more misconceptions you want to share about working with a designer to get that out of the way?
Oh goodness. I mean, shout out to so there's a new HGTV show. It's called Sin City Rehab by this
Okay.
amazing interior designer, Allison Victoria. I was actually watching it with my mother when I was visiting her a few weeks ago. And it was funny. We were watching it and she just asked me, she's like, Kevin, like, why does she have such bad luck on these projects and with these contractors and da 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 da? And I'm like, Mom, honestly, like this is the day in the life of an interior designer. Like
Oh my
it's
goodness.
all, sunshine and roses all the time. There's because there's a lot of moving parts. And it's our job to, well, handle those sort of moving parts. So anyway, if you're really curious to understand, like, oh, so what does an interior designer really do? I think that show has
Is it
done a
good?
phenomenal job of really showcasing everything, not everything, but what we're really doing outside of just picking pretty paint colors and selecting furniture and going shopping and having fun and doing all that. There's a lot more behind the
Oh.
scenes.
Awesome, awesome. Well, you also mentioned, design isn't just visual. You say it's emotional. So, can you elaborate a little more on that?
Yeah, so basically, again, it comes back to, right, your home really is an extension of your identity. And if that's something that you don't quite understand or really believe, then, I can tell you right off the bat, right, that we're not going to be a good fit together because that is what I believe. That's part of my philosophy and how I approach the world of interior design. So when a space doesn't reflect who you are or who you sort of
Mm-hmm.
become, it creates this sort of quiet friction every day. And for me, a good designer sort of helps you like rewrite that like emotional script so that your home really supports you instead of draining you. That's really what it comes down to for me.
Got it. Well, also, you say emotional, right? So, do you walk through the space with the person and do you ask to tell like their backstory about, what it is, if it's a home that they've been in for a long time or if it's a new home, right? You got to get to know the person's, I guess mood and aura and being in a sense, right? And how do they approach themselves with you? Are they open or what are some of the things to make them loosen up and try to get to know them a little better? Because again, you put that hand in hand with design.
Yeah, so it really depends on the client. So, for example, going back to say the project we talked about last week, the boho bachelor daddy pad,
Yes, that was cool.
with so with Steve, we did do a day. We did like a shopping trip day, and we went to a couple different stores, and then at the end we went and had lunch and had wine at oh my goodness, I'm blanking on the name of the Tria in Center City. And that was one way I got to really hear more about him and his story and what really drives him. And that actually really helped inform what I was going to do within his space. Because I one thing I didn't know about him was that he was such a wine connoisseur. So incorporating a spot in that dining area where we could, showcase some of his, vintage wines that he's had for, who knows how long, was a really cool thing to do. So for me, it's all about, I want clients that I can have fun with, that I can, laugh with and sort of also let my hair down a little bit because again, we're spending potentially a lot of time together. And there's a lot of trust that has to be built sometimes quicker than on other projects. And so it's important to be able to have fun with each other a little bit so that when things come up, you can either laugh about it or we can, be a team and solve whatever issue might come up.
Got it. Now let's talk about, well, I guess, the process of also evaluating the designer themselves on the other end. And we want to talk a little about some, red flags too that maybe might not, fit in for someone to work with. So let's talk about, the process of evaluating a designer like yourself. So how do people do that and what do you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, so you're looking for some alignment of aesthetics, but at the end of the day, really the right designer should be able to understand you and not just, some different trends. So you should be expecting your designer to ask some great questions. And if they're not asking you questions and are just kind of coming in with all these different ideas right off the bat, to me, that's
Hmm.
probably something to, I don't know if it's necessarily a red flag, but it's definitely something to note. Um, because again, for me, it's about, this is their home, whether they just bought it, whether they've been in it for 10 years and have saved up a lot of money to really do whatever project that we're doing. It's their home. And so there's just a certain um posture that that I come in with that is not one of, oh, I'm just here to really transform and do all this stuff. It's like I want to first really get to know you and what's going on in your space. And then during the consultation, right, I will bring up some ideas, but it's more of just like a, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? Not, oh, this over here, this is an absolute mess. We should definitely do X, Y, and Z with it type deal, right? I'm not trying to come in super strong. I'm here as really a quiet observer to some degree because I mean, you haven't at this point hired me. You sort of hired me for this hour, and we're kind of doing this little tango dance of will he, won't he type deal. Kind of going from there. So for me, those are a few of the things to definitely be aware of when you're meeting with a designer.
Do you choose to do a lot of your work, most of it in person, but do you do some of these meetings virtually because you have to, or and also just tell us, the areas that you do work in.
Yeah, so I mean I used to do like remote work. I don't do that anymore. For me, it's I very much want to be doing it in and I don't want to go back to that. So for me, interior design is very much a tactile, in-person experience that yeah, for me that's just how I've always operated for the last couple of years now.
Got it. What about, how do you know if you're a good fit or not a good fit? What would you suggest, for us to keep an eye out for as far as client to designer, designer to client?
So I mean, it really does just come back to, I mean, for me, some of it, it's like it's a vibe.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly, it's a vibe thing. If I feel uncomfortable, probably, like in a consultation, odds are they're probably feeling uncomfortable as well. And that, that's okay, right? Like not every person, um, can fully gel in in this sort of space together. And again, that's why you're looking for a partner in this and not just someone to come in and just like do a bunch of things and you just kind of peace out. I mean, there are some people that do want that, but again, to get something that's truly representative of you and to create this really emotional connection to you and your home, that's the way in which I approach it, is more of this sort of partnership way as opposed to some sort of dictatorship
I was going to
on
say that
either
word. Yeah.
side.
All right. Well, let's also now dive into a little bit about how you choose your clients. Yeah. Let's flip the script a little. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So, I mean, for me, I can be selective. I'm not exclusive, but again, at this point, it really is about people and what they're looking for with their home. I think for most of the time, um, people after we've had sort of that first just discovery call, they've already picked up on who I am, how I operate, how I carry myself, and they're either all for it or they're like, this guy is probably just not for me, and that's okay. Or the other unfortunate one that neither of us can fully control is budget, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're looking to do say, a whole house for 50K, that that's it's you're not going to be able to stretch it that thin. Um, and that's just kind of the reality of things. So when I have some of those particular people, and I've actually had one recently where I had a phenomenal discovery call, had a phenomenal consultation. I had already kind of walked her through sort of the what I thought the rough budget was going to be for the project. It was going to be like a bathroom reno and a few other things. Um, but unfortunately, it got to a point where the budget was just going to be too tight for her, and that's sometimes it is what it is. And in those situations, usually I would recommend that they, save up a little bit more and really get it done right the first time, as opposed to sort of, um, trying to just like get something done, trying to make it look okay for now, trying to like get by with it, right? Like that's not the world in which we're trying to live in. We're trying to create these spaces that you're gonna love, not just a space that you're like, oh, okay, well, I mean, it's better than what it was before, right? We
Mm.
want them to be excited about this space, and we want them to take photos in it. We want them to
Uh-huh.
bring their friends in it and feel proud, right? We want them to, like, it's okay to feel proud about your home and about these things that you've done with it. Um, that's okay. And that is part of what we are trying to achieve. And with that, yeah, comes a budget.
Yeah. All right. Also for today, again, we're talking here with Kevin and excited that he's joining us today live. Again, Kevin Watchman Smoot, he's the interior designer and owner of K&B Interiors based out of Philadelphia. If you are just tuning in, excited that he's here and to continue the conversation now, you know, you must be good at sensing people's mood, energy. Obviously, it's kind of what you do to, help them with their transformation. But can you tell if someone maybe sometimes isn't ready? Or, how do you know if they're like really serious?
I mean, a part of it, honestly, is my consultation fee. I've gotten it to a point where usually if you are paying me, 300 to 500 to $750 to show up to your house for an hour, usually you're pretty serious about doing something with your home, and that you've probably looked at my website and you like what I have to offer, or you see a way in which your home story can sort of mesh with the things that I've done. Um, so for me, they that I think that's the biggest one. The other one is kind of gauging if they're open to change, right? And not just new furniture, unless it's say like a an apartment and there's restrictions in which what you can and cannot do. That makes sense. Um, and if they're like really emotionally ready to let go, right, of what's sort of outdated or misaligned, or like just doesn't really work with the flow of their space. So, for example, I had a consultation recently where, there was this sofa that's, I mean, it's like your classic, oh gosh, early 2000s, super
Yeah.
bulky couch that, they've had for I think they said 17 years. And it was like pulling teeth to try to can convince them that, don't you want to kind of get rid of this now? Like, this doesn't represent who you are now, but yet you're still wanting to hold on to. So like those situations for me, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, this person probably isn't ready, or maybe they're not ready, at least with that particular portion. Okay, let's focus on other things. Maybe we need to, right, build some of that trust, right, throughout this process. And then maybe later down the line we can
Hmm.
talk about swapping out the sofa or whatever. That really, that openness to change is a key one. That, and then yeah, if they're ready to spend a little bit of money on a consultation, then for me that those are clear signs that yeah, they're ready and could be a good fit.
Perfect. Thank you for that. And also, moving on to energy alignment, right? Yeah, we talk about energy alignment, which I brought up, you brought up too. So, what does that really look like in practice? If you want to kind of dive through that, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it really is just how we vibe. Honestly, like within those first 5 minutes, like are they curious? Do they light up when we're talking about like
Mm-hmm.
some of these possibilities for their home, or do they kind of just have this like glazed over sort of look when I, explain or walk them through different options and visions for their space? Um, are they decisive but open, right? Like all of this energy, right, becomes sort of the tone of the entire project. So um yeah, for me, I cannot stress enough how important sort of that like energy alignment is, because it really can make or break a project, at least for me. If we're not aligned in that way, um, things just, communication breakdowns, things just don't quite, just gel as well as they should. And again, we're trying to deliver a luxury service, a luxury experience for clients. And part of that, if we're not gelling again from that get-go, then it makes it that much more difficult to deliver that type of experience.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right. Well, also, as far as, the kind of clients, what can I ask you? What kinds of clients tend to really get the best results, would you say, that work with you?
Yeah, so for me, I've kind of found like there's sort of three like archetypes for the most part of different clients that I've found that I work well with or tend to seek me out more often than others. And then I'll kind of walk you through like some of the commonalities between them. So the first one is sort of this like classic business professional, right, with a space that maybe hasn't caught up to the level that they have achieved for themselves. So they're ready to invest, to truly really feel energized and supported by their home versus feeling this sort of like uninspired or stressed out by it. So they might have already purchased some things from their travels, like a nice rug or some like really good art pieces, but when they put it in their space, nothing is really clicking in the way that they've hoped. So then those are, that's kind of the first people that might reach out to me. The second one is sort of like, young parents who they've really done their time, raising the little ones and are ready to sort of reclaim. I hear that word a lot, that, they're ready to reclaim their space while trying to still keep a warm family home. So they want nice things. And they're kind of done with some of those like washable covered sofas and all the toy storage bins all over the place. And they're trying to find this like happy medium between like designer things meets like real life um, type of thing. So I've got a lot of those clients reaching out. And then the last one is really just someone's who sort of bought their dream house and the space needs some reno work. So it's got like, some builder
Yeah.
grade finishes, and they might have a vision for the space, but they don't necessarily have the confidence and expertise to really execute on this vision to perfection. And they're scared that they either would go overboard with it and just make a ton of mistakes, or they just might play it safe and be really generic, which is not what they want. So
No.
where I come in with that is right, bringing in this bold but balanced, energizing yet calming and elevated but not cold or unwelcoming type solutions.
Got it.
And so all three of these, right, what they have in common is they know what they like, and they're
Yeah.
ready for something that truly reflects them versus what others may have envisioned for them.
Well,
And
I
then
like that you
two,
aligned it to like, it's like dating, right? Both sides have to feel it, you say.
exactly. And then these people also recognizing, right, they're looking for a strategic design partner to really push them where they always knew they could go with their home, but they need someone to lead them through that process.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one piece of advice you give someone before they reach out to a designer, would you say?
I mean, honestly, it comes down to like, doing your homework, right? Like look at their website, look at their about page. Does what they're talking about themselves and about what they've done, does that excite you? Does that intrigue you? Do you not
Hmm.
care? Um, you want someone that you're excited about, not just, oh, I've seen they did this house. It looks really good. So I'm going to reach out to them. That's kind of like where we get some of these like referrals. A lot of us designers, right? We get referrals from people. And while we love referrals, we still want these
Yeah,
referrals to, I mean, I would say, I want referrals to do their homework. I want them to
of course.
know who it is you're looking to hire and not just go based upon, a pretty house that you already saw.
Oh, all right. Well, also, let's end on one thing that you want your potential clients to know about you before they reach out.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it really is, I'm here to build something that really feels like you and, not just a showroom, um, and creating your unique stamp and your presence in your home,
Yeah.
while also being able to make it a space that you can feel proud of. And when people see it, they're like, wow, this is incredible. Um, that's really what I'm all about.
Okay. And how can we contact you and reach out to you for a consultation?
Yeah, so the best way to do that would be going to our website, kbinteriorsllc.com, and there's multiple different buttons you can click on there that'll take you to the inquiry section to inquire about a project, or you can email us directly at info267@kbinteriorsllc.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Pleasure having you here, getting to know you. And I'll say till next time in case we don't meet again. But really, it's been a pleasure getting to
Yes.
know you and your style and all the amazing work that you do. Again, check out all those pictures on the website. Beautiful work. Thank you again and enjoy the rest of your day.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.